5 minutes. That's all it took. Not hours of silent striving or decades of devotion. Not the endless rituals demanded by religious gatekeepers. Just 5 minutes. That was the time Jesus needed to lead his chosen ones into the presence of the monad, not as a belief, not as a metaphor, but as a direct and living reality. On the night before his arrest, as the world around him moved with shadows and betrayal, Jesus offered something quiet and staggering, a ritual so simple, so immediate. It had to be buried, because it bypassed hierarchy. It bypassed doctrine. It made sacred contact dangerously accessible. Before we reveal exactly what Jesus taught, a small request: if this idea already stirs something in you, if the title of this video intrigued you enough to click, pause and do 3 simple things. First, subscribe to the channel so you never miss these forgotten teachings. Second, comment below with where in the world you're watching from and what time it is right now. You'll be surprised how many others are also watching at this exact moment.
The sacred hum calls us home.
If you sense the power of what's coming,
the light consumes
share this video.
The shadow.
Help someone else rediscover what was hidden. If you understand the mystery implied in the title, let us know in the comments. I understand. 7. Now imagine sitting in the dim hush of that evening, the scent of oil and dust clinging to the walls, the tension of what's coming held just beneath the surface. Jesus knows this is the last night he'll speak freely. He knows the system is about to silence him. And so he chooses this moment, not to preach, not to warn, but to initiate. He turns to the ones who've walked with him, the few who have ears to hear, and shows them how to touch the monad. Not with effort, with presence. 5 minutes, 5 phases. A portal hidden in plain sight, but why 5? Why not 3? Why not 10? This wasn't spiritual theater. It was precision. Jesus understood consciousness the way a master sculptor understands stone. He knew the psyche resists wholeness. It resists the monad not out of malice, but from habit. We've been trained since birth to split, to separate, to forget. And 5 minutes is the exact time required for that resistance to peak, break, and reveal what lies beneath. In the first 2 minutes, your mind will claw at distraction. Doubt will rise. Thought will flood. That's the surface mechanism, struggling to keep control. Jesus didn't ask his followers to suppress this. He expected it. He designed the ritual around it. Then comes the shift. Around minute 3, your thoughts begin to quiet, not because you silence them, but because your awareness deepens beyond them. You begin to notice the space between the thoughts, the stillness that was always there. This isn't just relaxation. It's a crossing, a movement out of separation and into what Jesus called oneness, where meditation traditions might stop here. Jesus pointed further. This wasn't the end. It was the doorway. Minute 5, that's where it happens. The veil thins. The boundary dissolves. Your consciousness reaches the frequency where the monad can be directly perceived, not worshipped, not imagined. Known. 5 minutes is the natural arc your awareness must travel: resistance, settling, expansion, invitation, opening. Less than 5. And you never break through. More than 5. And the mind begins to cycle back into expectation or control. The timing isn't arbitrary. It's biological, neurological, spiritual, synchronized with the structure of human awareness itself. What makes this ritual radical is not just its brevity. It's the implication that access to the divine doesn't require priests, doesn't require churches or sacrifices. Just presence, just willingness, just 5 undistracted minutes. And this is what made it dangerous. Not to Jesus, but to the institutions that rose after him. The ones who couldn't allow ordinary people to realize how near the source truly was. Because the moment you realize you are not separate, you cannot be controlled. And so the ritual was erased, hidden beneath centuries of doctrine, buried under fear. But it was preserved, in fragments, In whispers, among early Gnostic communities who dared to remember, communities who understood that the kingdom Jesus spoke of was not elsewhere, but within. The monad wasn't a far-off deity. It was the origin, the essence, the unnameable one, and it could be touched. Not in eternity, but in a well-prepared moment. 5 minutes. That's all it takes if you know how to cross the threshold. It begins with a heartbeat, not a metaphor. Not a symbol, the actual thump of blood moving through your body. The ritual Jesus gave wasn't about escape. It was about embodiment. So the first minute is simple. Sit. Still your body. Close your eyes. And place your hands over your heart. You're not meditating. You're anchoring. Your only task is to feel your heartbeat, not think about it. Not interpret it. But feel it. This is the descent. The slow dropping down from thought into sensation. Into now. Jesus knew you couldn't access the infinite by abandoning the physical. You had to pass through it. Fully. Without judgment. Without rushing. As you continue, the second minute unfolds like a hidden corridor. Breath joins the heartbeat. You don't control it, you observe it. The cool air entering your nostrils. The expansion of your chest. The soft release. You're still rooted in the heart. But now breath becomes the bridge. In nearly every ancient tradition, breath was the meeting point between spirit and flesh. Between the seen and unseen. It is no accident that the Hebrew word for spirit, ruach, also means breath. Jesus used this minute to fuse the physical with the subtle. To create a channel between what you are and what you've forgotten you are. Your mind will interrupt. Let it. Don't resist. Don't engage. You're not arguing with thought, you're observing it from beyond. Then, without force, the third minute arrives. Something shifts. You begin to notice not just breath or heartbeat, but the one noticing. The awareness behind the experience. This is the pivot. The subtle realization that you are not the sensations. Not the thoughts. Not the breath or the heart, you are the space in which they appear. You are the perceiver. And as that recognition dawns, the boundary of the self begins to melt. You may feel larger than your body. You may feel your edges soften. This is not imagination. It's remembrance. The early Gnostics called this the moment of gnosis, direct knowing. The self recognizing itself as more than flesh. More than name. More than narrative. In minute 4, you speak not aloud, but inwardly. Monad, I remember. I am ready. Show me. These are not empty words. This is the sacred invitation. You are not begging. You are not asking for something distant. You are initiating revelation. The monad, the infinite oneness beyond time, shape, and form, is not separate from you. It is what you are made of. And in this moment, with the heartbeat steady, the breath flowing, and the recognition alive, you speak to the deepest part of yourself. The part that never forgot. Energy may rise, tingling, warmth, a pulse of something unknown. Let it come. Let it move. You are stepping into the Holy of Holies. Not in a temple, but within your own being. Then, finally, the 5th minute, the silence, the allowing. Everything is active, the body grounded, the breath alive, the awareness expansive, the invitation extended. And now, you open, not with effort, with surrender. You let go of seeking. You let go of expectation. You simply remain present. Still. Available. This is where it happens. Or doesn't happen. But either way, you've done it. Some will feel a surge. A breaking open. Some will feel only a soft knowing. A quiet shift. Both are real. Both are valid. The monad doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it simply removes the veil you didn't realize was there. And you sit, quietly, in a space you didn't know you'd lost but instantly recognize. The ritual is complete. 5 minutes. 5 phases: heartbeat, breath, recognition, invitation, opening. Nothing exotic, nothing theatrical. Just you, stripped of story, returning to the root of what you are. What Jesus taught was never about belief. It was about access. This is the descent, and now, you've taken it. You've just crossed a threshold most never even knew existed. And yet, Jesus taught it not as a secret reserved for the worthy, but as a daily practice for the ready. Not tomorrow, tonight. Because right now, in this exact moment, your consciousness is open, stirred, primate. That matters more than you think. The modern world teaches us to delay, to wait for better timing, more clarity, ideal conditions, but the monad doesn't work like that. It isn't summoned by perfection. It's revealed through presence, delay, and the mind reclaims its grip. Wait, and the conditioning reasserts itself. Jesus knew this, which is why he gave the ritual when the veil between thought and knowing was already thinning. Before sleep, when defenses fade, when you're closest to the edge, do it tonight, and you align with that ancient window. You step into the same sacred rhythm Jesus used to prepare his disciples for what was coming, not the suffering, but the awakening. Because once you touch the monad, even briefly, something begins to unravel. Not in chaos but in clarity. You'll notice it in the smallest ways. A conversation that doesn't trigger you like it used to. A fear that loses its sharpness. A subtle but irreversible awareness that you are not merely reacting to life, you are witnessing it from a deeper ground. That's the ripple. The afterglow of direct contact. Over the next few days, the memory of those 5 minutes will return to you like a quiet echo. Not as a command, but as a calling. You'll want to do it again, not from obligation, but from recognition. Your soul knows what it touched, and it will hunger for it. That's how it starts. 5 minutes each night. Then it becomes a rhythm, a frequency your being tunes itself to. Jesus didn't teach this as a one-time initiation. He taught it as a path, a daily entrance into Source. Over time, what was once a ritual becomes a resting place. Not something you do, something you are. And slowly, your entire perception shifts. The material world loses its grip. Not because you reject it, but because you no longer confuse it with what's real. The drama, the urgency, the constant distraction, they lose their weight. Synchronicities appear. Patterns shift. Moments align. What once seemed random begins to reveal intelligence. Not from the outside, but from within. That's the monad moving. That's what Jesus meant when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Not as a metaphor, as a fact of consciousness. And this is why the church erased it. Not because it wasn't real, but because it was too real, too accessible, too uncontrollable. If anyone can touch the divine in 5 minutes, then the entire scaffolding of religious authority collapses. No priests required, no temple gatekeepers, no rituals of exclusion, just presence. Just the body, the breath, the awareness, the invitation, the opening. That's all. And for power structures built on distance from the sacred, that was the ultimate threat. So they buried it. Not with fire but with forgetfulness. But here you are, remembering. The ritual has found you. Or maybe, you've finally reached the moment where you're ready to receive it. Either way, it's yours now, not as a theory, but as a tool, not as an idea, but as a doorway. Set your timer for 5 minutes. Sit comfortably. Follow the 5 phases. Don't wait for the right mindset. Don't wait for better circumstances. You're not meant to be perfect. You're meant to be present, because the monad is not distant. It is not demanding. It's waiting quietly, patiently for you to stop running, to stop seeking. And remember, just 5 minutes. Tonight,